what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Foot Candle Films. Film news and reviews from two guys who really like movies.
This episode is brought to you by the Foot Candle Film Society. For a schedule of upcoming screenings and membership information, visit the Society's website at www.footcandle.org.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Foot Candle Films here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. My name is Alan Jackson. Here with me is Chris Fry. We are both with the Foot Candle Film Society and the annual Foot Candle Film Festival. And Chris, as always, I start the show off the exact same way every time, but I only ask because I do care. How are you? How was your weekend? How are you doing?
I am fine.
Good.
And I think that might be my typical response, but
it is.
It is true. I am fine. I just came off the July 4th weekend and it was nice and restful. Did get my adequate dose of fireworks. And so, yeah, it was good. And I'd like to suggest, this is kind of radical, hot take.
Okay.
We celebrate July 4th always on the first Friday of July. So
yeah,
we could, I don't care if it's July 2nd. Let's go ahead and celebrate.
So you're saying you'd be okay with changing it from July the 4th to July the something.
Independence Day, first Friday in July.
First Friday in July.
That's what I, like we do with Labor Day. I'm saying, you know what?
It was a good setup. It was a good way, a good implementation of 4th of July.
It's perfect because you have Friday. And then if you get too excited, spend too much time in the pool, you've got Saturday and Sunday to recover. And then you go back to work on Monday. It's the perfect 3-day weekend.
All right. Well, we'll make that petition. I'm sure we can get that on the ballot this November.
Sure.
To see how we get that changed.
There'll be nothing else to vote on. So,
I think we'll be fine. All right, good. Well, I do agree with you, though. I think that would be a cool way to do it. And plus, having that format to the July 4th weekend or Independence Day weekend means there's a little easier time, at least for me, getting to the movie theater to see the movie, such as the movie we're going to be reviewing during our show today. This is Foot Candle Films. This is where we review films and talk about new films coming out soon and give some recommendations along the way. Today we're going to be reviewing the film Jurassic World, Rebirth, because again, we have another colon in our film title this week.
Lots of colons.
Lots of colons. Jurassic World, Rebirth is our film that we will be discussing and reviewing, starring Miss Scarlett Johansson, directed by Gareth Edwards, is the 7th film in the Jurassic franchise. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. We'll be reviewing that here in just a moment. After that, we do have a couple of trailers to go through and share for some new films coming out in the next few months. That the trailer has made me more excited for this film than even on paper what I expected to be reading about it. The other trailer, don't know. We'll explore it together and see. But it's a very, I won't say controversial, but a film that's getting a lot of negativity heaped on it even before its release. So we'll talk about it when we get to the news section. And Chris, I think you have a recommendation for us this episode as well, right?
I do, yes.
Chris will regale us at the end of the episode with a film recommendation he'd like to share, something he's recently caught up with or remembered or watched for the first time, whatever it may be. It's one of those reasons he decided he wants to recommend it to our audience. So we got a lot to get into. Chris, are you ready to jump into our first review?
Let's do it.
Here we are, Jurassic World Rebirth.
Dr. Henry Loomis, this is Zora Bennett, our mission specialist.
Sorry, what mission?
This would be a medical breakthrough that could save countless lives. It comes from the largest dinosaurs on the planet.
Oh my God.
Fortunately for us, all these species exist in one isolated place. Can you be ready tomorrow?
I can guarantee your safety. I mean, more or less.
More or less?
He's your guy?
We're the best at moving things and people in and out of places they shouldn't be.
Move up towards Barbados, avoid government patrol, but there aren't that many anymore.
Why's that?
No one's dumb enough to go where we're going.
Director Gareth Edwards has taken a turn at helming other film franchises with Godzilla in 2014 and Rogue One, a Star Wars story, in 2016. With Jurassic World Rebirth, he directs the 7th film in the Dinoverse and is the 5th director to sit in the chair. What'd you make of this installment, Alan?
All right, hold on. So 7th film.
Correct.
5 different directors.
Correct.
That's
First being, of
because-
course, Steven Spielberg.
That's because Spielberg did 2.
Right.
And Trevorrow did 2.
Correct. And then Bayona did 1, and Joe
Johnson did
the
the
third one. So there we go. There's the rundown.
Good. All right, great. All right. Well, I couldn't remember Trevorrow. Trevorrow did do Jurassic World and then Jurassic World : Dominion.
Correct. And then Bayona did the one in between.
That was Fallen Kingdom.
Correct. Yes.
I
You
know
got
my
your
films.
Jurassic lore down.
Well, look, okay, here I'm going to start with the positives.
Okay.
I liked this movie better than any of the previous 3 Jurassic World movies.
Got you.
That being said, I did not like any of the previous Jurassic World movies, so it was a fairly low bar for this
How
one,
many
too.
of the original Jurassic Park, other than the first one, obviously, we have the poster hanging in our office.
Yeah.
Other than the first one, did you like the second or the third?
I like parts of the second one.
Okay.
That's Lost World, the other Steven Spielberg. I think it does have some major issues, but I
Okay.
did enjoy it as a film. I actually am a fan of the third film. I actually think the third film, the Joe Johnson, is actually really good.
Okay.
I think it's fun. I think it's a throwaway film that doesn't get too steeped in lore and backstory. It's just a simple story, and it was the one where we first had the flying dinosaurs, which I thought were cool at the time. I have not enjoyed any of the Jurassic World movies.
The Chris Pratt. Yeah.
The Chris Pratt era of Jurassic movies I've not enjoyed. So I was looking forward to this one just because I like Gareth Edwards as a director, excited to see what he would do. 2, it doesn't have Chris Pratt in it. 3, it seems to be truly the word rebirth in the title. I'm like, all right, let's get this back to basics. Let's do it. Okay, so I said I was going to say my positives, right? That was my positive. It was better than the last 3.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have a whole lot more to go on beyond that.
Okay.
Other than to say it was mildly entertaining. Mildly.
Okay.
There's a couple sequences I thought worked okay.
Okay.
I think the film looks better than previous Jurassic World films, only because I think the director is able to put his visual stamp on the film a little bit. Not as much as I would have liked, but just enough to say, all right, this feels better.
Okay.
I don't know if it was overall production value. I don't know if it was the score being used. I don't know if it was the visuals. It felt better. It felt more like a Jurassic Park movie I wanted.
So your quote on the Criterion edition of this film was, "This feels better."
Feels better. It did feel
This
better.
feels better. Okay.
Okay, so that's my positives.
Okay. Fair.
Unfortunately, everything else I have to say is somewhat negative. But
Okay.
I'm going to start with the positives and say this is a passable Jurassic Park / World entry, but man, did it just miss so many opportunities to
Okay.
do something interesting. But with that, Chris, let me turn it over to you before we start picking it apart. What do you think of the film?
So, much like our previous review of F1, which I was not excited to see, and then went to see it and was like, yeah, I think it was something something adequate was my thing.
Yeah.
With Jurassic World Rebirth, not really a fan of the entire franchise. But like you, I think this is one of the better ones. That I think I was actually less critical of the first 2 Pratt entries because my expectations were low, but I thought the third one was terrible.
Well, they got, well, it's tough. The Bayona one, the Fallen Kingdom, had some really interesting things going on, but ultimately it still just didn't work. I do think the Jurassic World movies got progressively worse. They started out at a level I didn't like, and they got worse.
It just went down. So, I mean, I just remember like Pratt was like a dinosaur whisperer, like holding him. I was like, okay, that just didn't work. Using like Jedi mind tricks or whatever on dinosaurs didn't work. Anyways,
well, and the problem with the whole Jurassic World too is the whole we're going to create new dinosaurs and all that.
Okay, so let me. Okay,
that.
so yes, agreed. With this film, I'll try to go on a positive here. So like basically, I thought it was okay. I think you and I are probably, I don't know, we'll quibble over star ratings eventually, but probably maybe like a 2.5, because but it's passable. And if you really like Jurassic Park movies, you're going to, run to the theater like a raptor to see this. But you mentioned, there you go. You mentioned, especially with, I feel like, the World movies, the Pratt ones, the big thing was, we're going to have Dinosaur Gigantus. We're going to do something. And it was just like, that was the big tease. The whole movie was like, okay, eventually we're going to show you an even bigger dinosaur, and then you're like, okay, if that's the whole pull of the movie, that gets kind of old, especially because they're just CGI and there's no practical effect with it. So you're just like, okay, it's not really challenging, just scale up your last version, so now that being said, in this film, kind of like the stated goal, because why are they going back to this island? Why are they doing this when they know it's like bad? They know the dinosaurs are running everywhere and they're going to get killed. Well, the reason for this one is it was like genetic research that could help cure diseases. And they were targeting, okay, we're going to go get 3 dinosaurs, these 3 dinosaurs that have this, quality that we need to get blood from them. And then we're going to be good. Okay. Now, I thought that was an interesting enough premise. And the dinosaurs that they showed, I liked that they were different enough. And it wasn't just like a bigger T-Rex. I feel like it was always like, let's just make a bigger T-Rex. That was always the thing. So there's an aquatic dinosaur. There's and yes, I don't know the names of these, Mosasaur or something like that. I think maybe it was the first one. The second one to me was like a brontosaurus with like a really wispy tail or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that was also really cool. And then even though it had been used, like you said, I think in the third film, the flying dinosaur, I thought all their big 3 targets were interesting. And I don't know, I thought that was cool. Now, unfortunately, the bookend of the film was something that troubled me. And from the very first, I didn't really pay attention to like the poster for this film or some of the promo images. So I'm not really spoiling anything if you've seen any of this stuff. But the bookend of the film, the bookend dinosaur, let's say, of the film, I thought was head-scratchingly dumb.
Yeah.
And not only that, it, to me, and I've heard other people say this is original to me, other people were like tuning into this too, looked like a xenomorph.
Well, it definitely
which is from the Alien franchise.
It was definitely more of a creature than it was a dinosaur, which is, here's my thing, Chris. Why?
I don't know.
Dinosaurs are enough.
Sure.
Dinosaurs are cool.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs are scary. Yeah. Like, why not just make a bigger T-Rex? Or just make another T-Rex. I mean, I'm sorry, but I thought the one action scene, okay, I agree with you. I thought the use of the variety of different dinosaurs with kind of the video game motif of we have to go
bigger
collect
balls or different
we have to go collect this thing from each of these 3, a certain blood sample or whatever. I mean, yeah, I get that worked. I was on board with the premise
because I don't expect an Oscar level premise.
Right.
So yeah,
I was fine with that.
Yeah,
I thought the use of the 3 different types of dinosaurs was interesting. I wish the sequences were more engaging and exciting that had them in there. I mean, I thought the whole thing with the birds, it's like, okay, you got a whole bird thing going on with the flying dinosaurs and you're fighting them inside of a cave. I was like,
okay,
all right.
Okay.
I didn't really find that exciting at all. And,
so something to consider.
Yeah.
If, I said I didn't understand, thought it was kind of dumb, head scratchingly so, that looked like a xenomorph, the bookend dinosaur. Now, if you look at this film and say that Gareth Edwards was like, you know what? I'm not really going to do anything tremendously original, but what I'm going to do is make this film almost nothing but a series of homages. So the underwater dinosaur thing is Jaws.
Yeah.
Okay. The creatures out at the Brontosaurus with wispy tails, don't know what you're going to, but that was actually just an homage to the original Jurassic Park where they see the giant
field.
them
off in the distance.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the third with the flying dinosaurs, what you said keyed me to this thing. Okay. It takes place in kind of a cave. Well, it's kind of like a temple that's like a reference to Indiana Jones. And then the whole xenomorph thing is nothing but, and we'll get to Rupert Friend as Martin Krebs, his role in the film. He is kind of like a character in Aliens. He plays the who's the guy? What was his name? I can't remember. I'm blanking on Aliens, which is not good. Anyways, he's the bad guy in the Aliens film. This guy was like that, and so then the end monster is like the Aliens monster. So it's like a series of it's clever, maybe, but I don't know.
Okay, if you're going to do that, great. Do homages to Steven Spielberg films, which you were saying,
with the
Jaws.
exception with Aliens, but
right?
yeah.
The Aliens doesn't make any sense. No, it's again, I just don't understand why the need is to transform a dinosaur into a monster,
right?
A scarier monster when it doesn't need to be. Right. It's again, I thought the most effective use of a dinosaur in a action sequences in this movie was the T-Rex.
Yeah.
The T-Rex in the water scene.
With the raft.
And the water scene was, yes, a direct ripoff of the original Jurassic Park, but it worked. I actually had fun during that sequence. I'm like, yes, this is good. This is scary. This is intimidating. This is what I want to see. And it was the T-Rex, the same dinosaur we've been seeing for 7 movies now. And I'm fine with that. It's like, because it worked. And it's like, but you get to the end and you get the whole creepy giant bald head looking alien they've created, or a monster they've created.
Right.
And there was nothing different about that you couldn't have accomplished with just a dinosaur. It's like, so it's like, why? I don't understand. Anyway, I got to talk about my biggest issue with this film, though, Chris.
Okay.
I think the characters, namely Miss Scarlett Johansson, I think their characters are horrible. I think they are so poorly written and or poorly acted. I was really disappointed with Scarlett Johansson's character and her portrayal too. I mean, they're trying to pose her as kind of this Indiana Jones
bounty hunter
swashbuckling,
type.
But all about the money type of thing.
Right.
But then you want her to turn by the end where she's not about the money. But nothing about her character like worked for me at all. It's like to go from, oh, I'm super cool and I'm just dashing off every little one-liner and I've got a perfect one-liner for every situation, to then in another scene we'll see her like screaming and crying like all upset, and then flip back to another scene and she's totally cool and fine and doing the one-liners. It's like, I don't know what you are. I don't know who you're supposed to be. There's a scene with her and Mahershala Ali. One scene with them talking.
We'll get there.
On the boat. And it was like, okay, this is our 2 minutes where we have to cram in every bit of exposition about our characters we can to try to endear us to the audience. And it doesn't work. And so It's like, I just hated the characters in this. I actually have a controversial take. I have heard people... There is a little bit of a 2-track story in this movie where you've got the
Delgado family.
Hold on. I've got a take on this. Okay. You've got the Scarlett Johansson led mercenary group going in to get the blood samples, blah, blah, blah. Got to get them all. Got to catch them all 3.
The Pokemon.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you got the Delgado family, which is a family out in a boat that gets capsized because of a dinosaur attack.
Has a ne'er-do-well boyfriend.
Yeah. All right. See, here's my controversial take, Chris.
You like the Delgado family?
I could like the Delgado family. I don't like the way they were handled in this movie, but I think, man, if they could have done something a little different with this film, I think there's a better film there than to watch Scarlett Johansson and a couple other poorly developed characters running around trying to collect blood samples, which I feel like we've done similar versions of that so many times.
Okay.
I would much rather have watched a family that got wrecked up on the shore. Maybe you have the mercenaries trying to hunt them down and find them because they don't want these people on the island, or they're trying to save them, something like that. But you focus on the family and build up those dynamics more. I think there's something more interesting there. I would have rather have seen that movie than watch these other characters just go through the motions of doing their thing. And anyway, that's my controversial take. But I think the handling of characters all the way around was pretty poor in this film. So
the Delgado family.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I had just recently revisited the very first Jurassic Park, and that has the 2 kids, and it's the grandfather. And okay. So the moment they were on screen, I was like, oh boy, here we go. Here's the whole family aspect. So I just kind of rolled my eyes through no fault of the actual actors of the Delgado family, no fault of their own, but it's just like, I feel like they were unfairly saddled with emotional beats that I was just like,
they were.
If I could cut and delete that part of the film, great. Now, you mentioned Johansson and Mahershala Ali's terrible exposition scene towards the beginning. Yeah, that was terrible. I mean, it was like a duo monologue, if such thing exists, but it might as well have just been delivered directly to the camera with them staring at the audience like, okay, guys, listen up. Yeah. This is our thing.
I am a more complex character than I'm letting on so far in the first half hour of this movie.
So don't hate me because I'm all about money, because I'm going to be okay. And
I actually have something in emotional core that I want to explore with the audience for a moment. So
and Jonathan Bailey as Dr. Dr. Henry Loomis, which I guess is a Halloween reference. Loomis being the doctor,
sure.
Who knows? Yeah, I was like, sure, whatever. References. And Rupert Friend is like the mustache twirling villain. One's a geek and one's the villain. I guess because they weren't I didn't feel like they were, even though they're lesser characters, they didn't have that dialogue scene that I thought was horrible between Johansson and Mahershala Ali. So I thought they were fine. And actually, I don't blame any of the acting. I just think it's the script. Because I
probably so, but
I thought Johansson I thought everybody was fine. And actually, lesser people doing this work probably would have made me hate the film more. But maybe. And I don't hate it, but I would have made me dislike it more. But,
ultimately, it's down to how fleshed out these characters were. And they were all such stereotype, but also changing. Even the doctor, was it Dr. Loomis, you said? The guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Even his character, I found wildly changing from scene to scene. It's like one scene he's actually kind of with it, and he's kind of being intelligent and focused. And then another scene, it's like, what? There are going to be dinosaurs on this island? Type of thing. It's just like this whole, woe is me. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm overwhelmed type of thing. It's just, it was poorly written characters. And just, again, that's what made me just not enjoy any of the parts with the actual main plot. Just like, all right, I just don't want it to be these people.
And there's something too where I think as critics, you and I are both pretty harsh on death fake outs. And in this film, it's kind of like the Star Trek episodes where you see the guys in the red shirts or whatever, and you're like, okay, when the red shirts go down to the planet, you're like, okay, you're gonna go first. You're gonna go first. And there was a scene when we got towards I know this isn't the name of them, I don't remember, but the flying pterodactyls or whatever. Yeah. I was like, it's about time. And I leaned over to my daughter. I was like, it's about time for him to go. She's like, oh yeah, he's gone. And sure enough, the red shirt went. Yeah. But you expect that. There is a death fake out towards the end of the film that I just really, I was like, and they're going to mention I saw it with my daughter. She too at the end was like, I kind of don't get why. I'm like, well, it's because they're hoping to make another series of movies probably. But it was a chance that they could have, made it more impactful and I guess helped a curmudgeon movie critic like it better. But they're like, no, we're going to wrap everything up.
The problem with
nicely.
that whole fake out too is that it wants us to believe that Zora, the Scarlett Johansson character, is a certain type of person to react to this. And I didn't buy it. Right. 2, we're supposed to have some feelings for this character that we are sad to see leave or possibly leave and we're worried about. But to this point, this character has done almost nothing in this movie. And other than have a painful 2-minute exposition scene, this character is not integral to many of the action scenes. This character is not doing anything terribly heroic, except for one moment at the end where it tries to give him a heroic moment. It's like, so now you want me to all be emotional that there's a potential death scene and I'm supposed to be all upset about it. And it's just, I didn't buy it. I'm not buying it at all. So,
okay. Speaking of not buying something, I'm going to try to win you over again to Gareth Edwards' style. I don't know why I'm doing this. Devil's advocate, I guess. Remind me, did you like Gareth Edwards' 2014 Godzilla?
Yes.
Okay. So he's paying homage to that movie by doing the flares in this movie.
He's doing the flares and even the whole opening sequence with the whole lab coat guys.
Okay, right.
And and the fact that if you remember the original Godzilla, there was a whole sequence with Bryan Cranston at the beginning.
Right.
That took place and it involved somebody getting sealed up and having to make a sacrifice.
You're still not going to like this movie anymore for the homages, maybe.
Well, Okay. I don't mind the homages.
Okay.
And I think if that was intention, that's cool. It's just, it has to end with the alien one at the end. The big chrome dome,
Chrome Dome Dino.
biosaur or whatever they call that thing. What are they? It's like mutasaur or something. It was like,
Really? Was that the name
I
of
think
it?
it was like something like
Oh, wow.
muta something. Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway.
I like Chrome Dome Dino better, but okay.
This movie, like I said, mildly entertaining, and that I did find myself like, I was following along, and the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, this is just doing the Jurassic Park beats.
Right.
Go from part of the island to part of the island, and we got to round up a group of people to go to this island, even though we know it's all crazy to go to this island, but we're going to go, and we got to obtain this one thing or things on the island, and we're going to fight some dinos along the way, and blah, 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 and all that. I get it. And it's fine. I don't mind formula if formula works.
Got you.
But to make a formula like this one work, the action sequences have just got to be a little more fun and inventive. And I felt that they were all pretty tamped down and pretty restrained. And 2, you got to have at least the characters. If you're going to follow some human characters, you got to have human characters you want to follow and you understand and you appreciate. Going to the Indiana Jones thing. Okay, somebody could argue with me and say, all right, Indiana Jones is just cracking like one-liners or showing this bravado. All right, but Indiana Jones is a more complex character. He does that because that is his persona he's trying to exhibit. But when you see him really as he is, he's actually more self-conscious. He's like questioning himself. He's like trying to figure things out. I never see any of that with the Zora character. It's like, it's just one-liner. Oh, now here's my scene to cry. Now I'm back to the one-liners. And it's like, that's the reason why these characters don't work, is you just don't give enough confidence to you just don't have enough confidence to like let them develop into real characters. Instead, you just go on the stereotypes that you think the audience expects. But honestly, the character that got the biggest audience reaction in the crowd I watched it with, where people were eating up every word that he said or everything he did, was in the Delgado family, the deadbeat boyfriend.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, as long as it wasn't the smallest member of the Delgado family, the little girl she befriends like a miniature dinosaur, that I was just like, oh, please.
But I'll tell you, from a development standpoint, I mean, we can roll our eyes at the Delgado family. The fact that the father and the boyfriend, their dynamic by later in the film, that's actual development. Okay. That's actual, like, where the audience is like, okay, yeah, we're along for this ride. We're following this family. That's why when I came out of the movie, I'm like, you know what? I think there's a movie you could have made just with the Delgado family and made it better. I'm not saying that their parts in the film were good, because it was not developed and they were treated very paper thin. There's a whole subplot of the daughter in that family kind of getting treated very irresponsibly by a member of the mercenary team. And then that you feel like is going to come to something at the end, and it never does. And it just, there's a lot of wasted opportunities with it from a development standpoint with these characters. But I would say, again, the film looked good. I thought the visuals were good. I thought, there's some moments, some shots. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a Gareth Edwards shot. I can see that. It's like, looks really good. The use of the flares. I love a good flare use in a film. Jurassic World, I think that's the one scene I can recall in that first Jurassic World movie. It was like, what's her name? Ron Howard's daughter.
Bryce Dallas
Howard using the flares to like try to chase down a creep. That's cool. I love it. And we got some flares with Mahershala Ali. It looked cool. It was a cool looking thing, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to make the movie good on those fronts. So it was, again, passable. I'm probably in that 2.5 star rating myself, where it's like, I found enough entertainment value to keep me engaged, but boy, there's some challenges and there's some missed opportunities with this movie for sure.
Got you.
What is it going to take to make a really good dinosaur Jurassic Park-ish movie again? I mean, I
think you're going to write a screenplay, and the title of the next movie is going to be Jurassic World: Focus on the Family,
or Jurassic World: Meet the Delgados.
Okay,
that's it.
Fair enough.
And we're just going to follow the Delgado family
There you go.
I want to follow them, develop them as characters. It's going to be great. Or we do a whole sequel, nothing but the little creature pet dinosaur that I kept expect. Chris, did you not expect the entire movie that she's befriending this little?
It's going to eat her.
It's going to totally like do the whole flaring the giant face up and like terrorize her and spit something at her. I'm like, oh, this is going to happen at some point.
That would have been exceedingly
because there were
dark.
so many shots where the cute little guy would creep up to her, and I'm like, all right. Here we go.
Watch out.
It's going to do something. And it never did. Right. And that was actually the most disappointing part is it didn't do anything. So, all right. Well, that is Jurassic World Rebirth. All right, Chris, coming out of it a little more positive than I expected. I'm probably coming out of it maybe a little more negative than maybe people might have assumed with my love of giant creature movies and dinosaurs and all of that. But it is a movie with issues. But it is an improvement over what we've seen in the last 3 movies, I feel like, anyway. So,
agreed.
Right. Good deal. All right. Jurassic World Rebirth. It's doing okay money wise, so it'll be around for a little while. So go see it in the theater. I did not see this in a big IMAX theater, Chris. Did you?
Not in IMAX, but I did see.
Or not IMAX. I'm sorry,
the big, in our Dolby theater.
Yeah, big Dolby cinema. And that's right. Yeah. We're in Hickory. We don't have an IMAX here. So, okay. Good deal. Chris, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we will have 2 reviews, or I'm sorry, trailers, not reviews. We've done our review. We have 2 trailers to explore. We will be talking about the Running Man trailer, the new Stephen King adaptation starring Glenn Powell, directed by Edgar Wright. We're going to play that trailer, and then I'll go ahead and tease it. It's going to be the trailer for a new, I name dropped him a minute ago, Ron Howard, a new film by Ron Howard called Eden. We're going to talk about those 2 films. And we're going to hear Chris's recommendation after the break. Stay tuned. You're listening to Foot Candle Films here on themesh.tv.
Want to discover great podcasts or maybe even start one of your own? Welcome to The Mesh, Western North Carolina's podcast network built for creators and listeners alike. From local sports and business to comedy and culture, The Mesh is home to unique voices and fresh perspectives. Do you have something you want to say? The Mesh can help you bring your podcast to life with the tools, support, and platform you need to be heard. Check us out at themesh.tv, where great podcasts live and new ones are born.
Welcome back to Foot Candle Films here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. I teased before the break that we were going to play a couple of trailers, so let's go ahead and do that. I am a man of my word, so let's roll right into that. Chris, before Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Rebirth, our viewing, you said you got to see this trailer up on the big screen. I've only had the pleasure of watching it on my small iPhone screen since then because I did not make it to Jurassic World Rebirth in time to see all of the 30 minutes of ads and previews. Did you hear, by the way, that AMC Theaters, which is our beloved AMC here in Hickory, it's our only big multiplex movie theater in the area, is actually adding more ads before movies?
No.
Oh, yeah. So they're clocking in at 25 minutes is what you go from posted start time to the actual movie showing. I've been recording it every time I go.
Wow.
The average is between 25 and 26 minutes from stated time to when Nicole Kidman finishes her little monologue and the movie's ready to start.
So if you're looking at a 2.5 hour movie, which a lot of movies are these days, it's going to be 3 hours. By
Absolutely.
The time wow.
Now they're actually talking about adding more. So it could be even going up to like close to 30 minutes of time before the movie actually begins.
Wow.
Yep.
That is interesting.
It is. All right. Well, but anyway, in that 30 minutes of block of time, there was a trailer played that you got to see.
I did.
Let's talk about it. The Running Man. This is a new Edgar Wright Stephen King adaptation. Now, we talked about this, I think, in passing as a brief news item. That This is something that was happening, and when we found out about it. Stephen King has a novel from 1982 called The Running Man. It was turned into a film in 1987 starring Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Richard Dawson. Don't forget Richard Dawson.
Well, Richard Dawson, yes, absolutely. The Running Man takes place in a dystopian society where a game show pits contestants that they call, quote, runners against murderous killers, a.k.a. hunters. So let these people loose, and they've just got to survive a certain amount of time, and they're being hunted down by these hunters. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Edgar Wright, I think the last film he did was Last Night in Soho,
That tracks. Mhm.
which I liked.
I did too.
And generally I like all of his films. I can't think of a film of his I don't like. I'm one of the biggest champions of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, so I'm always happy with that. I think Baby Driver, at least the first half of Baby Driver, is a really, really good movie. It loses some steam by the second half, or doesn't work as well, but it's a good movie. So yeah, he's a great. He was rumored for a while that he was going to be the director, or not even rumored. He was going to be the director of Ant-Man for the Marvel Universe,
Right.
Which always made me super excited about that movie. And then
Creative
differences force him to leave. And anyway, so Edgar Wright is a director I like, and I'm always excited to see what he's doing next. I think you're kind of in a similar boat,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with this remake of The Running Man, we have him doing his version of the film starring Glenn Powell, who we saw Glenn Powell in
The Hitman.
The Hitman, which was for Robert Rodriguez, or no?
No, that was, Richard Linklater.
Richard Linklater. That's right. Richard Linklater's Hitman. And then also we saw him in Twisters, sequel, which I really liked him in.
Yeah.
I think Glenn Powell's a really good movie star.
I would agree.
I'm happy to see him taking on big roles, and I'm happy to see him doing action roles.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I like him. I think he's good with comedy too. I think Hitman showed that he can do some comedy as well.
Right.
So, what do you say? Let's take a look at the trailer for The Running Man. It also stars Coleman Domingo, who I think he's playing the Richard Dawson part.
Yes, it appears to be. Yeah.
Katie O'Brien is in this, who we saw in Love Lies Bleeding. Josh Brolin is in it. So yeah. And
Michael Cera.
Scott Pilgrim
crossover.
That was the happiest part of this trailer when I saw it, is when I saw that not only it's Michael Cera, which I like, but also it's Michael Cera back with Edgar Wright. Right. I'm like, yes. Okay. Let's have fun with
Michael
this.
Cera's having a good year. He was in Phoenician Scheme. He's in this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's doing good. And I like the fact that I think him leaning into these interesting supporting roles is like a good spot for him.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right. Well, here we go. Here's the trailer for The Running Man by Edgar Wright.
Stop filming me!
Ben Richards, 35, married, one child, in medical crisis.
We need money for a doctor now.
Ben, watch us up.
Employment status, blacklisted. But there's still a way out for you. It's the biggest show in the country.
Bloodlust is our birthright! Set it free! Welcome to The Running Man!
People on these games never come back.
I'm not trying to get myself killed, so kiss my ass twice.
Right there is why you can win this game. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days with the entire nation hunting you down. And get your family out of Slumside for good.
I'm gonna come back here.
All right. I will just go ahead and say I'm so looking forward to this. This looks fun. This looks
violent,
yeah, but action-packed. It looks like Glenn Powell, Michael Cera, Coleman Domingo. I mean, everybody's just, even Josh Brolin, just kind of eating it up, having fun.
Yeah.
So, and even the vibe of the trailer is letting you know, all right, yeah, there may be some serious messages kind of underlaying some things here about society and about, the oppression and
high cost of healthcare.
But ultimately it's a good time. It's meant to be a good time. So I'm excited. Any thoughts on the trailer after seeing it?
Just from seeing the trailer, I'm surprised. When we talked about it originally, I always lament, take a drink, when directors who I admire do established IP, because I'm like, well, they want a paycheck just like anybody else, but I wish they do original material. What's interesting with Running Man, like you mentioned, it's been done before. The movie's been made. It was a book, then they made a movie, and now they're remaking the movie. So remakes automatically make it less interesting for me. However, all of us are aware, and is such a big thing, reality TV. When Running Man originally came out, I don't think that was, because it came out a while
Oh yeah,
ago,
it was
like
late
before
80s.
Survivor,
Before
it's
true
like-
reality shows.
It's interesting how this comes around again, and it's almost kind of in a very Edgar Wright way, mocking us for like, yeah, you remember how this came out before, and it was like, oh, reality TV, that's so ridiculous. Nothing like that would ever go on. And it's like, okay, it's like throwing it back in our face, but. It looks like from the trailer, he really has been able to kind of put an Edgar Wright stamp on it from the type of humor and even like the editing and like the shot stuff. Yeah, it seems very Edgar Wright.
Well, and I mean, I know this is a minor plot point, but it seems like the trailer is kind of alluding to the idea that everybody is able to hunt.
Yeah,
him.
right.
Where in the original, there was a group of hunters, people designated as hunters to hunt these people down.
But they did it out in the world. It was like they
Right.
were just running around crazy.
But it sounds like now it's like, no, everybody, whoever can go get this guy, go hunt this guy down. So
Right.
it's like you've turned society, like you've just explored this whole depravity of society
Right.
where we're just, people are willing to get on TV, whatever it takes, even if it means hunting another human being down
Right.
for money, whatever. So yeah, I like, if that's a little bit of a twist on the story, I'm game with that. So, sounds, no, look, I'm excited. I'm super excited. It's something about Edgar Wright's trailers for his films always get me so excited for his films. Baby Driver out there, still think when they released the first like 3 minutes of that online of that movie, that got me so jacked up for that film.
Sure.
The Last Night in Soho trailer was also really, really good. So anyway, I hope it lives up
And
to
it's
it.
coming out in November, I think. Was that the date I saw flash? So it is coming out in 2025, I think.
November 7th.
Okay.
Yep. November 7th of this year. So
Wow.
there we go. All right, Chris. Now here's another movie coming out pretty soon here. This is actually a movie that has been around for a while.
Okay.
But it's just now starting to peek into some theaters because it did have couple of very small festival screenings, I think, last year.
Okay.
Didn't go so hot.
Okay.
But they're pushing this movie out, and they're pushing this movie out for several reasons. Those reasons being Sydney Sweeney,
Yes.
Jude Law, Ana de Armas, Vanessa Kirby, Daniel Bruhl,
Okay.
all in this movie.
Sydney Sweeney, I recognize the name. What's the most recent thing she's been in? I recognize the name. Was she in Twisters?
No. Sydney
Okay.
Sweeney is
So I'm getting her confused with somebody else.
she was
I know who Ana de
Euphoria.
Armas is.
She was in the TV show Euphoria, but movie wise, she was actually in a movie with Glenn Powell, Anything But You.
Okay.
Like a romantic comedy movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, she's kind of a hit girl right now. Big girl, big well-known female actress.
Okay.
Ana de Armas is,
She's in The Ballerina.
she's
I
a
know
lot
who
of
Ana-
stuff
yeah,
there. Okay, so this is Ron Howard directing this film.
yeah. Okay.
All right. So the film Eden is actually based on a true story.
Oh.
It is a thriller called Eden. It shows a diverse group of settlers fighting for survival amidst a grueling backdrop of a deserted island where the only threat to themselves are the other people they share the colony with.
So it's like a Lord of the Flies type thing.
Yeah, a
It's
little bit.
based on true events.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's the mountainous terrain of the Galapagos Islands.
Oh. This is a period thing, obviously.
Yes.
Okay. Like
It
50s or
is.
40s or something, 30s.
Yeah, it's following the, quote, shocking true story of a group of disillusioned outsiders who abandoned civilization, settling on a remote, uninhabited island, only to discover that the greatest threat isn't the brutal climate or deadly wildlife, but each other.
Okay. So when you told me the name of this film and you asked me if I'd heard anything about it, I was like, nope, hadn't heard anything about it. And you said there was a little bit of dicey controversy on it. I immediately thought, oh, Eden. It's going to be like a retelling of like Genesis or something. And people are like upset about it because everybody's running around naked or something.
No, and it's not,
no. Okay.
controversy is maybe not the word I should have used. Supposedly the movie is no good.
Is no bueno.
That is the word.
Okay.
Now, I'm not, look, I get how press works. I
Sure.
get how advanced screenings work.
Right.
All it takes is one person going to see an advanced screening. They get online, they blast a film, then it spreads like wildfire.
Right.
Because everybody loves to think a
To
movie
pile
sucks.
on.
Yeah.
Sure. Gotcha.
So I am not at all saying that Eden is a bad movie. I'm just saying, unfortunately, that is a lot of the buzz that got out there.
Gotcha.
And that's why I think this film has been done for like over a year or so. And
Well,
it's just now
Ron
getting
Howard
released.
and then that cast, it is interesting that I hadn't heard a thing about it. So, especially coming out this year, and this is the first trailer.
This comes out in a month,
Whoa.
August 22nd.
Whoa. Okay.
I mean, this is a 1 month away from release, and it's not getting a lot of buzz.
I can't wait to watch this trailer because the bar has been set so extremely low that I think I'm going to be like, I don't know. It's probably interesting. I can't wait to watch the trailer.
Yeah, I have not seen the trailer for this either. I've just read enough about it. So we will see.
And I may, on purpose, go see this film just because I'm like, I want that. You and I review films. We like films. We want films to succeed. So I'm going to be like, I'm going to watch this film regardless.
I never want a film to bomb. I never want a film to be bad.
No.
I want every film to be successful and be good, but it has to be successful and good.
Sure.
So,
even though I am not a fan of the Mission Impossible franchise, when I go see it, I want to be entertained. A lot of times like, well, not my thing, but it wasn't bad. You're like, yeah, so come on, Eden.
All right, well, here we go. Here's the
this
trailer.
This is my underdog for the year, maybe.
Okay, here we go. Eden. Ron Howard's Eden. Here we go. Here's the trailer.
This is Fiona.
What were you expecting?
You must be Dr. Ulta. Your story inspired us to leave everything behind and start anew.
Life here is gruesome, frustrating.
Failure is inevitable.
This is where we'll build.
No. Its sting can kill you. Everything on this island can kill you.
I am the embodiment of perfection.
Baroness Eloise Verbon de Wagner Bousquet.
We came here for isolation, and now we're being crowded.
Our first vegetables.
It's incredible what they've achieved.
In pain, we find truth. And in truth, salvation.
So that is the trailer for Eden. Now, Chris, before I get your impression on it, I just want to give you one quick note.
Okay.
And I'm going to work after the show's recording to verify this information. I remember reading about this movie over a year or so ago when it was under production, or in production or maybe finished production or something like that.
Okay.
And I swear to you, I believe this movie at that time, which was at least a year ago, was being promoted and talked about as a more of a comedy. Now, I'm going to verify that after this show. So believe me, I could be way off base on this, but I believe over a year ago when the film was first being talked about, that is the pitch that I was hearing about it.
Probably a dark comedy.
A dark comedy, but kind of an absurdist comedy, almost like these people, it's kind of crazy that they've gone and like created their whole society. And then there's all these mishaps happen and all these interpersonal relationships kind of get off track and all that. That is obviously not the film that's being promoted in this trailer.
No.
Yeah, this film is being promoted as a very dark thriller drama. So I'm curious if that is a shift that the movie has had to make in the past year in re-editing and redoing some scene or something. I don't know. I want to read and find out.
Right.
So let's just talk about it from what we saw in the trailer.
Sure.
Your thoughts based on what you saw.
So I'm extremely interested to see it because it is not, even though the trailer probably reveals too much, it is a story I'm not aware of. And so I'm like, And obviously we've alluded to the fact it's very dark. Things are not going to go well, but just how it all falls apart and it seemed interesting. I'm curious to see it. I will say too, and this is maybe why it doesn't work. I like Ron Howard. I think he's made some good movies. He's made some that I haven't cared for, but he's made some good ones. I mean, just like Rush, I think is probably the last one that maybe he made about the race car drivers that I liked. But then there are other films that he's made that I've liked as well. But I don't blame him for don't blame him for Solo because I liked parts of it, but I think him taking over that movie, that was the last thing I think I remember him doing that He got a lot of guff for, but I think that may have been a script thing, and he took it over. Anyways, but I don't think of Ron Howard as necessarily like a huge science fiction Star Wars director. So there was that. With this, I wonder if I think he's a good director. I like some of the movies he's made, but this just seems kind of like outside his wheel. It seems like a Brian De Palma film. It doesn't seem like a Ron Howard joint. He's perfectly capable, but just like the sensibilities of it don't seem like it's a good fit. So I wonder if that's the problem, is it's not necessarily, it just wasn't a good fit. And they were like, and maybe it was just like, hey, we want to get somebody we know who can direct a film. Let's just get Ron Howard. And he's like, well, okay, I'll do it. But it's just like it wasn't a good match between content and director, maybe. But we'll see. I am extremely interested in the film. The cast looks great. And, that's interesting you mentioned the thing about the comedy, because I could see they show a scene of some people involved in what looks like a hot little moment out in the ocean, which in the trailer, like how it's done, and you're like, okay, what? That's almost kind of laughable. If maybe some of the stuff in the film, it's like just because it's so over the top ends up being loud. I could see how it could have been a comedy. So I don't know.
Just because, God bless the internet, I did a quick little search. While I was totally listening to everything you were saying. Sure. But I was doing a little quick search as well.
I'll give you a quiz later. But yeah.
September 8th, 2024, IndieWire put out a review of Eden, because again, the movie was actually done and released last September in some festival times. Okay. And the title of it was Ron Howard and his all-star cast mount a darkly funny adult spin on Lord of the Flies.
Okay. So me guessing Lord of the Flies. Okay.
But
it
again,
is based on a true story, though.
It is, but again, funny is the word that's kind of keyed in, and that the review does comment about it being very adult, dark humor and funny at times. Did not see that at all in the trailer. That is not the impression they gave from the trailer. My thinking is, this is probably what I just described is probably more likely what the film really is. There's probably a lot of very dark humor about this idea of these people thinking they can start their whole new society and mocking them to some degree and making them caricatures, making them very kind of ridiculous people. But the trailer is leaning as heavy as it can into, nope, we're going to sell this as dark thriller, really, really, upsetting thriller, because that we think that's going to sell.
Well,
a little better.
Here's the advantage to, and we should be paid a stipend by this movie's production company, because all of our listeners hearing all this already have like a warning, like, okay, trailer may be misleading. It's not just a thriller. Maybe it's supposed to be a dark comedy. So if they go in with all this baggage, maybe they actually end up being okay with the film. Because it's like, maybe it was on purpose. They're like, okay, we admit this is like a mixture of tones all over the place, but if we kind of bait the hook such that it's like, well, here's kind of what's going on. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm like you. I'm probably more intrigued to see this movie now than ever before.
Right.
Just because I want to see what it is. I want to see what brought this really, these are like prime current 2025 actors involved in this thing. Vanessa Kirby.
Right.
Anna de Armas, Sydney Sweeney. You put those three in, like you are stacking it with A-list actors as of today that will draw audiences.
And Jude Law's
Jude Law's consistent, but he's there. But it's just, you were doing something creative with the casting when you pulled in these people. And there must have been a hook to this movie to get these people involved. I don't think it was just Ron Howard as the director.
No.
So something's there. But I just tell you, the reviews last year were kind of all over the place. Okay. And I think there were some issues with the way the film was being perceived. They may have done some tweaking with its marketing now, but it is officially coming out August 22nd.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, that is all the news I had to share for today. 2 interesting films over the next 3 to 4 months that I think we're looking forward to checking out both of them. But Chris, what about a film that is already something we could check out and that you have seen or you would like to recommend for us? What do you have to recommend for us on today's episode?
I have seen it. You have seen it.
Okay.
Some people might have already seen it who've listened to the show. We reviewed it on the show, but now people who have a subscription to Max, HBO Max, maybe it's HBO, you can now see it for free if you have that, because it's been released. I think it was just released over the July 4th weekend. Sinners by Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
Really liked the film. We reviewed it on the show, so go back and listen to our review of it. But I am eager to watch it again.
Okay, you haven't watched it again
I have not
yet.
rewatched it, but I am, over the holiday, I kept seeing it being promoted.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
So I'm curious,
on my
Chris,
watch list to watch it again.
If I recall, our takes on the film, I loved it. It's still right now probably my favorite film this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's probably where it is. You liked it, but I also remember you having a few misgivings, a few disappointments.
See, I would have to go back and listen to our review of it. Thanks to Letterboxd, I see that I gave it 4 out of 5 stars.
Oh, okay. Well, that was good.
But yeah, I wonder because why didn't I give it 5? Because I do like it a lot, and that's what this revisit's going to do for me, is going to kind of sum up.
I'm definitely interested in seeing it again. I almost queued it up this weekend, but I was in dino mode. So I was like, I was ready for Jurassic World. I did not want to be taken off track with what my focus was for the weekend, which was dinosaurs. Vampires and dinosaurs, I couldn't mix them in the same weekend. But I do plan to see Sinners again as soon as possible.
I'm glad, like, a lot of times it seems like, we see the films and then there's just this long period where they're not available, or they're only available for rent, but it's like a $20 rental. And then at the end of the year, when you get all these titles and stuff that you're supposed to be reviewing or seeing for end of the year lists, that's when it finally becomes available. And you're like, I wish I would have had a chance to revisit it before now, because now I don't have a chance. So it's awesome. Here it is. It's July. It's out. So yeah, someday when it's too hot to do anything outside, Sinners, you're on my play queue.
You're up. Sinners is up. All right. Well, good. Well, I will echo your recommendation. Even only haven't seen it the one time, but I am looking forward to seeing it again. So your recommendation, even if it's just for me, Chris, to make sure I go check it out in the coming week, I will absolutely be doing so.
Awesome.
Great. All right. Well, I think that wraps us up for today. We had our review of Jurassic World. God, I keep messing up. Jurassic World : Rebirth?
Yes.
Okay. Rebirth. We had a review of that film. We also had trailers for The Running Man by Edgar Wright, and also a trailer for Eden by Ron Howard. God, the 4th of July holiday was a good holiday. It was a good weekend, but I'm struggling to get back in the swing of things today. So with that, and then Chris's recommendation of Sinners now on Max, HBO-ish, Max-ish, whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
But Chris, if anybody wants to dialogue with us about any of these recommendations, about any of these trailers, about our review, anything at all, what can they do?
You can send an email to info@footcandle.org. You can leave us a voicemail via our contact page on the mesh.tv website. You can follow us on Facebook, Foot Candle Film Society, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Twitter. We're just at Foot Candle Film. Al and I are also on Letterboxd, where we try to leave quick takes of what we're seeing. You can, follow along there. Do us a favor, give us a star rating, write a review, share with friends whatever service you receive your favorite podcasts on, because it'll help us reach new listeners. We'd appreciate that. The 2025 Foot Candle Film Festival, running here in Western North Carolina in Hickory from September 19th through the 28th. It's coming up. We'd love for you to join us. It's going to be a great one. We'll be releasing more information as far as like lineup, schedules, the films we're bringing very soon. But the website, footcandlefilmfestival.com, is already up. So you can go and at least see maybe the poster artwork for this year. But we'll be releasing more information soon, and we hope you come check it out.
All right. That's the deal. So we'll look forward to seeing everybody here in Western North Carolina in the next couple months, September-ish, late September timeframe. By the time, I think maybe by next week, or maybe at least in the next 2 episodes, we'll be able to announce officially that tickets are on sale and we're ready to go.
Right.
And you can see everything, list of films, list of schedule, everything else. All right, Chris. As always, thanks, man. I always thank the audience for listening. I never thank you. Chris, thank you for all your work on the show.
It is a pleasure. It's fun.
I enjoy it. And thank you to you all, the listeners. We'll look forward to talking to you next time. Take care.
See you in the ticket line.
Watch films in the company of like-minded people in the dark. Watch films in the underground. We won't let anyone know where you are.
Special thanks to Carpal Tuller for the show theme music. For more about Carpal Tuller, visit www.carpaltuller.com. You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.